Hi, my name is Myron Brady, and I am the freshman coordinator at the Lawrence County High School. And I brought with me Larissa Skaggs, and she is one of the math teachers in the freshman department at Lawrence County High School. Last year, we created an ACT program because we wanted to use formative assessment in a gradual release model. Last year, we were able to get one-to-one technology and started using it. Now, my freshman team really kind of took hold of it and went to paperless classrooms and doing assessments and doing different stuff like that. What Ms. Skaggs is going to talk to you about is some things that they met with challenges, some things that they do now. We discovered that even though we have the one-to-one technology and it was working really well, that those challenges did occur, and it was causing us to struggle with the gradual release model and them taking upon themselves to educate in the classroom. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Skaggs and let her talk to you about some of the things that we have developed and used and are still developing and how it has affected the classroom.
As she said, I teach ninth grade math, and for my classroom, I have not gone completely paperless just because for math-wise, the students like to have that writing everything down on paper. And we have one social studies teacher that is completely paperless. She hasn't used a piece of paper in 2 years since we went to one-to-one. With the one-to-one technology, when we first got this last year, a lot of teachers were kind of hesitant. Okay, how are we going to use this? What are we going to do? So our school started with a home base. Everyone in our school uses Google Classroom as that home base. Everything we do runs through Google Classroom. So for my classroom, I was like, okay, well, how can I use Google Classroom for formative assessments and for learning? So first we started with in my classroom, everything goes on there and everything is organized. The students know where to go to look for each lesson, for each practice, for each quiz, so on and so forth. So this year, we've really looked even more into formative assessments and the different types. So I'm going to kind of look at my paper here so I don't forget any of them. The first one that we use is simply just Google Classroom and posting questions on Google Classroom. The students are able to have discussions with each other, to respond to each other, and really the students that are scared to speak out loud, that's kind of a platform for them to ask questions. We also use all of the different Google suites. We've gone to several different Google trainings to discuss, okay, well, how can we use this in our classroom? How can we use that for assessments? One that I use a lot is Google Forms. That gives immediate feedback back to the students, back to the teachers to see where we are. There's also several different types of question formats that can be used. You can also email those quizzes back to the students so they can see what they need to be working on. Google Slides is something else that we use. This year, I don't know if you've heard of Pear Deck, but Pear Deck and Google Slides form together. So now Google Slides is not only for teachers just to show a presentation or for students to create their own presentations, but for interactive. With embedding Pear Deck into Google Slides, you can actually ask the students questions as they're going through the slides. They can be multiple choice questions, they can do drawings, they can show their works. So that's been really great this year. Both of our science teachers are using Google Slides and Pear Deck. The next is Edge Elastic that we use a lot for formative assessments. We also use that for our common assessments. But Edge Elastic is a lockdown browser. The students can't go to anything else while they're on Edge Elastic. That also gives immediate feedback, and we can see where the students are. The next one that we use a lot is Socrative. That's also wonderful for immediate feedback once again. The students can see either multiple choice or short answer if they're getting those correct or incorrect. And I can also be looking at my screen and it's showing me problem by problem if they have those correct or incorrect. We also use Quizzes. Has anyone heard of Kahoot before? Okay, have y'all heard of Quizzes too? Okay, good. So last year, I guess, was our first year really starting to use Quizzes versus Kahoot because students can work at their own pace with that. They don't have to go question by question along with the class. So they're working at their own pace, and we can also project that onto the board and see the class percentage as they're working. So all of those are different types of formative assessments that I use in my classroom. Our social studies teacher, what else does Ms. Blevins use? She uses most of Pear Deck and the stock market game. I think she uses that. So there's multiple types that we have discovered within the last 2 years to help with our one-to-one technology and really focus on how can we use formative assessments to drive our instruction. And that has been the best thing. How can we are using these to drive what we need to do in our next lesson. However, we've also come across challenges within the last 2 years with this one-to-one technology. Our biggest challenge is, yes, the students are engaged, yes, the students are learning. However, it's very easy for them just to click on another tab whenever they're supposed to be working on something else. So our next steps are how can we address those issues? And just this week, we have been looking at 2 different programs. One is called Hapara, and the other one is Go Guardian. So we're looking between those 2. Within the next week, myself and the social studies teacher that is completely one-to-one, and maybe our entire freshman team, we're going to sample that for the entire school and see how that works. I don't know much about the Go Guardian, but the Hapara, we've looked more into that, and we're able to actually see the students' live screen. As they are working, we can see each student's screen and what they are doing and where they are at. That will be great for whenever they are working on any type of formative assessment to make sure something else is not pulled up. Or as we are helping one student at our desk, we can still be glancing to make sure that students are on task and staying and keeping with that engagement.
And with that, we've talked about pairing that with our iPad, that teachers can walk around and still have engagement with students but not be looking at a computer. But with that, if they see a browser come up, they can immediately close that browser instead of taking time to kind of go through that. As freshman coordinator, that's what I get a lot. We need to talk to the student, have a discussion. They're having games up or different things like that. So when they see that, they can immediately close it, address the rest of their lesson, and then we can have that discussion after class instead of using so much class time to keep engagement.
So for the rest of our year, we're doing pretty well, I think, with formative assessments and using those formative assessments to drive instruction. Now it's really just using these other resources to make sure not only that the students are staying engaged, but they're staying on task and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I really think that either one of these websites, either one of these programs are going to help with that.
And that's what we found with Pear Deck too, is that because things are embedded, it's hard for them to get off track because things are popping up and questions are popping up, and it's keeping their engagement better than just watching a PowerPoint presentation or a slideshow.
And last year with Pear Deck, that was kind of just its own website. You had to use just the Pear Deck website. But this year, where they combined Google Slides, a lot of our teachers already had Google Slides created. Well, now they've just embedded Pear Deck into that.